It's a good day to be alive. You know what I'm saying?
And it's Monday. I love Mondays.
It is Monday. I love Mondays too.
Yeah, Mondays are the best day ever. It's a great fresh start. Here we go. I know. But
That's what
it's
I
okay.
think.
It's great.
But before we're done with life, we'll convince the people that we know, to love Mondays because they're just great. Okay, well, this is for those of you who didn't listen to the last episode. This is a part 2 of our bodybuilding series. Part 1, general questions, just a little chit chat about some questions that come up a lot from people who've never competed before. This one is going to be a lot more personal because Lauren and I are going to tell you our own stories from our own perspectives as people who've been competing in this sport for a while and have done many, many shows and have competed in different cities, different states, all around the country. And yeah, just a little insight, a little personal insight. So, Lauren, let's start with you. So, first of all, tell us when you started competing, what division you were in, the shows you've done. Just give us a little bit of insight on your journey.
Here we go. So I started competing in 2014. I gotta think about that. 2014. I competed just because I played competitive softball for so long that once I stopped playing softball, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. I played competitive softball for like 10 years and just was very lost. So I started competing and it was great because it was very structured for me, gave me something to do, to look forward to. I originally started competing in figure, even though I was like yay big. I was like tiny. I'm 5'9" and I was 140 pounds competing in figure, which if anybody knows that right now, that is very, 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 very small. So did figure, went to nationals, competing in figure. I did really well. Like when I competed in figure though, I did do really well. So took fourth at nationals, but my feedback there was just to get bigger. And for just a quick side tangent on that, getting bigger, I already was pushing like 180 pounds in my off seasons. And by the time I was competing nationally for figure, I was decently bigger on stage. I was like holding my weight, doing well. But when they told me to get bigger, I looked at Tony and I was like, I'm already almost pushing 200 and I'm supposed to get bigger. I was like, no. I was like, there is no way. I was like, I don't feel good about it. And so actually transitioned down to bikini and I've had way more fun competing. Probably had the most fun competing. It's a blast. It's cute. It's sassy. It's fun.
It's cute.
So
It is
it
cute.
is. It's adorable. But it's like I've really enjoyed it. Like I said, I've done local shows in Colorado, Texas, and I've done national shows for. I did nationals in 2018, 2019, 21, and that's it. So 3 years of nationals. I went.
So did you not want to get bigger for figure because of how much you weighed in the off season, or was it just how much
Uh,
you weighed, or was it the workload?
Workload for sure, because like training to get big is a whole nother ballgame to just train or work out to be fit, if that makes sense. Like when you go into train to get bigger, you're like, bodybuilding is an art, so you're literally creating your body to fit the division you're in and having the shape that you need and the look and the muscle symmetry and the definition and everything like that. And so for me, I was like, look, I do not want to get bigger for one. And on top of the workload, we were opening Nova when I was in figure. And I was like, I barely have time to work out. Like there is no
Nova was
way.
your
Tanning
tanning
salon.
salon that you opened. Hmm.
Yes. So I dropped down to bikini and it was really odd at first. I had to detrain. I basically just did plyos and cardio for like a year. Just cardio circuits. Detraining was probably the hardest thing ever. And it took me probably a year and a half to actually get size off. Like I was still bulky my first season. Like I was a thicker bikini girl.
Super
My core
muscular.
was just like, yeah, it was a lot. My shoulders, my back. So I had to detrain down for bikini, but honestly, like bikini's been great. I competed last year at Junior Nationals with Kendra, and that I was really close to getting my pro card, but at the same time, that was probably the most fun I've ever had at a show, and I just ended it there, and I'm so happy with it. But overall, it's like going from figure to bikini, night and day in training, night and day in food and all of it. But I loved bikini, and I love the sass and the look and the training and just the overall presence because that was the first time I felt like feminine as a competitor. Because when you're a figure, it's like, oh man, you got some big shoulders, you got some big arms. You want to arm wrestle? I'm like, no, like no, leave me alone. Like that, guys. If anyone's listening to this, or that is the rudest thing you can do to a girl. She already knows she's larger. Do not do that. Don't do that. That's mean.
That's interesting. So it wasn't like a compliment to you. You weren't like, yeah, frick yeah, I'm super strong. You were like, you were a little self-conscious about how big you were.
So they're like, I bet you could beat me up. I'm like, yeah, I really probably could. So you should probably step off for 2 seconds.
I've heard you've gotten in some fights for real.
Yeah, so it's like I was like, you probably don't do that. Okay, if anyone has reference of this, for those who have competed, like when I was doing figure, I was incline dumbbell pressing like 75s. Just go, mama, go. Just go for it. Like I was strong. It was cool, but yeah, bikini, way better. I like my
Yeah.
look better too.
So for just a little bit of insight, for those who are not familiar with bodybuilding at all, the female divisions are bikini and now wellness, which is really a pretty new
Mhm.
division. I think this is the second year that it's been around. And then there's figure, and this is going up as far as like how much muscle you're expected to have to do well. Bikini, wellness, figure, physique,
Bodybuilding
and then is
essentially.
it and then it's women's bodybuilding? Okay. And then there's a couple other like there's fitness, which isn't as popular, which is similar to figure as far as like the look, but they do a lot of like gymnastic stuff.
Hmm.
Bikini definitely is the least amount of muscle. And when bodybuilding came around, or I should say a handful of years ago, like 10 years ago or so, bikini, you really, the look was if you worked out and you had like a fit body, then you competed as a bikini competitor. That is not the case anymore. Now it is so much muscle, even for bikini. So if you want to do anything extra, I mean, we are talking like when Lauren says like it's an art and it takes a ton of effort, it is not just in the workouts. Like you have to eat like it's your job because you
Hmm.
need to continue to put on weight. It's like muscular weight and it's crazy, but
A
when
lot of
you
work.
see people that look freaking muscular, especially women, just give them a round of applause in your heart and mind because they've worked their asses off.
Hmm.
Please don't judge. Like they're doing this because they want to. Don't be like, oh, I would never want to look like that. That's great. I had someone say that to me once, training for bikini. They were like with a trainer at the gym, and I can get pretty big shoulders too. So I'm working, and my arms are, poof, and I'm just barely at the end of my off season. So I was like thick and muscular. And this girl goes, I just don't want to look like her. And I'm sure you've heard that too. I've had other friends who've heard that. I don't want to look like her. And I wanted to go up to her and be like, don't worry, you won't. It's freaking hard.
You're like, this is taking me 5 years. Here I am.
Yeah, like this is a lot of work.
Hmm. Anyone who competes and competes long term, like Kendra said, give them a round of applause because it's not easy. It's a lot on your body. It's very taxing.
Yeah,
Very, very,
it
very, very
is.
taxing.
Body and mind.
All right, Kendra, fill us in a little bit about you and your bodybuilding career. So, when did you start competing? What division? How many shows? A little bit about your journey. Give us the deets, mom.
Okay, so my favorite thing to talk about when it comes to how I got into my bodybuilding career is how I got into it. So I was running marathons. Like that's cuz I wanted the challenge, I wanted the push, and my body kind of started rebelling against me. Some people are really built for running and I'm not. Though I did still run several marathons and some half marathons. So I didn't just, I mean, I pushed through, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was starting to get some knee issues and my metabolism was a little distressed, I think, because I was not eating enough and running a lot. And so I just wasn't feeling great. And I moved in with this was like a random roommate situation. I found this ad online. I moved in, and this girl moved in the same time as me. And she was really into working out. And I also was working in an office with a bunch of dudes, and they loved to work out right after work or during lunch. So I started lifting weights really seriously for the first time. By seriously, I mean like consistently, because I'd lifted weights before, but it was just kind of like here and there, and like at home programs, which are great. I'm not bashing them. You can actually make some real progress and have some real progress working out at home. Then she shows me pictures of her. She told me she used to compete. And I was like, what? Because in my mind, people who competed were like aliens. Like they weren't normal people. They were like genetic gods, which to some extent, the ones who perform extremely well they are blessed genetically. It's why
Mm-hmm.
it's just like any other sport. Those who do well have crazy good work ethic and maybe a little help from their genetics, right? And so I saw her pictures and it blew my mind. And then I went to FitCon in Salt Lake City because that's where I was living at the time. And I was there because we had a booth there. So it felt very like divinely led, honestly. and I watched a competition, the Salt City Showdown, I think is what it's called. And I was like, what? And I went up to this booth. Actually, it was Body by O, funny enough. It was the booth there. I went up, I was like, could I do this? Like for real? And they were like, yeah, all you need is discipline and a good coach. I was like, I got discipline all day. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. It happened. My roommate happened to be dating somebody who used to be one of the part owners of Atlas.
Mhm.
And he was like, I'll hook you up with a great girl and let's do this. And it was Lauren, and super fun, super like it's changed the course of my life. So when I say if you have an itch to do something, like don't ignore it. You never know why it is. Okay. Because it was more to me than just looking a certain way. I actually didn't know I could look that way ever. I like hoped for it, but I was just like, I want a challenge. I want something to work towards, you know? And it was crazy. Like my first show, I didn't look, I mean, I was just cute and soft. I got skinny. I was just little, no booty. I mean, remember, I've been running. And I also was born genetically with like just no rear end. Like my dad, just yeah, we weren't blessed with badonkadonks. So I had a lot of work to do there. And again, those of you who aren't familiar with bikini, it's a lot about the butt. Like the butt is like nearly everything. I mean, it's not really, but it feels that way, right?
Oh yeah.
Pretty darn close. And so I had a lot of work to do. So I just competed. I did like one show. Well, my first year I did two shows back to back, and I was really hard. It actually got easier and easier to prep because first of all, my body just kind of like got the hang of it a little bit, and I got more muscle and all the things. So it got easier and easier for sure in some ways. In some ways. Yeah, in some ways, because I did push myself a lot harder, and Lauren pushed me a lot harder, you know, once I got more competitive and made it to the national show. But the funny thing is I did pretty good. Like I've never not placed. I always placed and did really pretty well on big shows. They weren't really dinky shows that I did. But then I got qualified my second year of competing. So my third year, I went to nationals and got literally dead last in my class. And you know what? I had a blast. I wasn't sad about it at all. Like, I was kind of annoyed that we had to do the walk of shame. Like, if you don't place top 10, you have to still walk across the stage. And it's like, it was a 2-day show. So I had to like get ready, get the spray tan again, and then just to walk across the stage, hit one pose, and then peace out. I was like, that was the dumbest thing. I hated that. That was my least favorite thing. And show day, I loved show day, but and because I loved getting glammed up, but there's a lot of hurry up and wait. Didn't love that part, but I loved after the show where you just got to like let loose and celebrate. And, you know, it was like the celebration of all of your hard work and being backstage and meeting people. Like once I got to the show, I rarely was that stressed about my placing. The only time I really did get stressed about it was these last shows that I did, where I was national. I was like actually competitive on a national level. So I put a little bit more pressure on myself to do well. And I did. I never got close to pro necessarily. I got first call outs, which is, that was a big moment because that's all I really wanted in that show. I was like, I just want to get first call outs. And so it's top 7. And that was great. That was really fun. And that was like the first time where I just felt so much peace. Like, I just love that I get to do this, which is really interesting because, well, I guess we're going to talk in a minute about why we stepped away, but still to this day, my favorite look, it wasn't even when I had my best package as far as like competitively, but I got first place at Texas State, which is a big show. It's a very big honor. First place. And I loved my look. I had my red suit. I had my hair was about this color, not super dark. My tan was flawless, which was like almost never the case. I don't know why my skin just doesn't like the tan. My skin was flawless. I looked freaking good. And it was so much fun. I was just there with one of my friends. I like just went with Lauren got sick. So I was like, I'm just going to go. One of my friends came up and we just chilled, played games, and I got first place. And it was just like, cool. Super low key. Like, thank you. Went to Cheesecake Factory afterwards. It was great. But yeah, it was, I loved bodybuilding. And it was really fun because it wasn't even just the shows where you meet people. Like, people start to notice at the gym, like, you're serious about this. You're not just showing up and throwing up a couple of like you're dying. Like you're like, oh, and you're looking muscular. And so people will come up and be like, hey, like, are you training for something? And so I've made a lot of friends at my gym, in my community. You can go to posing seminars and meet friends. I got added to like Facebook and Instagram groups, look for like local fitness influencers and whatever. And dude, it's just such a fun community. Truly, like I can't speak highly enough about the community and the experience in that sense. As far as like the scoring and the politics, I mean, I won't call it politics, but as far as like the score, but I'm just gonna like bite my tongue there a little bit. The scoring for bikini, especially of all the divisions, is super. I always get objective and subjective mixed up. What's
It's
the word?
it's subjective, isn't it? Like it's whoever the
Subjective.
judge likes, yeah. And there's some
Yeah.
like judges to wear darker makeup for, and some to wear more natural. And it's like the truly is you have to know your judging panels and what they like and what look you can bring to as close as you can bring. So you never know who's coming, so you can't outbeat somebody essentially. You can bring your best and know what that judge wants or likes particularly.
Yet another reason to get a coach who is very integrated into this world because they know these things. They've been to enough shows. They know they start to pick out what judges want. In fact, Lauren and I, well, maybe I shouldn't say this. I'll say it and I'll cut it out if you think I shouldn't say this. But Lauren and I both only scored as well as we did because the head judge changed. I won't even say who it was. But the head judge were like, "Oh no." And then the head judge changed or like when we're
Mhm.
watching, like the one of us that was in the audience, like we're watching, and the person that was convincing the head judge was the same person. So we always knew that if this person was there, we would do better.
Here we go.
But if it
Yep.
if they weren't, then we wouldn't do. And if they were the ones in the head judge position, we would do better. So it really is that part is really frustrating. Kind of
Mhm.
was what pushed me to walk away, to be honest. But there was a lot. It wasn't just that.
There's a lot to it, but
Back to you, Lauren. Let's talk about your experience with prep. So just kind of give us some insight to I mean, you talked a little bit about the difference
yes.
between prepping for figure versus prepping for bikini, but give us more of a general idea of what prep was like for you, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Here we go. Okay, so prep. I'll say in the beginning it was really easy because I just worked at Sienna Tan and at the beach. So you just are living life, living at home. My mom cooked all my food. She bought all my
Wow,
food. Oh yeah,
what a
my mom.
gift.
Oh yeah, she was on it.
Good old Kim. We
Yep.
love Kim.
So she would do all that for me. It was super easy. It was just fun. But I also think I was really naive. I was like, I I prep. This is cool. Like I really didn't know. I don't think what I was doing or getting into. So like I can honestly say I really, really remember probably the last 3 years of prep and being in bikini just because I think that was the moment where I actually took it the most serious was probably these last 3 years of it and knowing like, okay, I have a good look for it. I could do this, but I really have got to detrain and I've got to change my entire look. And prep was really fun, but also it was like with having to do all that plus run the businesses and coach and stuff, it's a lot of discipline, a lot of structure, and just a lot of time commitment too. But it was something I enjoyed and it was good for me and it actually helped me in other areas of life. It's like if you can be disciplined and structured with your food and your training, that discipline usually like spills over into other aspects of life. So I'm very grateful for that. But at the
True.
same time, there was moments I was bawling doing cardio because I was so tired. My feet hurt, my back hurt, my neck hurt. Like I was like, I'm so done. And you just cry because you're so emotional. You don't know what to do, so you start bawling. You're like, here I am, bawling on the stair stepper. And it's so hot in Texas. I would sweat through my leggings, my sweatshirt, my shirt. I would send people videos all the time like, did I pee or sweat? No one knows. No one knows. So here I am. As far as like habits, routine wise, like it was great, but it's tough. Like there's mornings. I remember living in Colorado. Me and Tony, it's the first year I did bikini nationally. He did classic. We were both prepping for junior nationals, and we would literally wake up at 3:45 every day, and we went to bed by 6:45 p.m. every day because we were running the salon, the supplement shop, and coaching, and so we were running around all day. And you go train, and then go do your stuff, and we would literally come home and go to bed, and the sun would still be out, so we got extra curtains, just really just darken the room. So it's like it was definitely intense and it was a lot, but it was a lot of fun. But also on top of that, though, it's like you check in every week and you're expecting to see changes. Then you get frustrated. And then you go a long time sometimes without seeing changes. And check ins can get frustrated. And 6 weeks out, those prep goggles that we talked about in the last episode, they're like securely on. They're like so tight. You don't even see how you look ever. you're just never ready, never ready, never ready. I don't look good. I don't look good. I don't look good. And so like you have this constant battle in your head, and it's tough because then you're seeing all these other girls on Instagram that are doing your show, and you're like, oh shit, her glutes look way better. I don't look like that in the gym, but she does. I'm gonna lose. It's gonna
Oh,
happen. And it's like that's the constant battle you feel though with like your weekly check-ins and knowing how you look. And it's like, is my food gonna get cut? What am I doing? Should I just do more cardio? And it's like, no. So like everyone tries to rush the process or pick apart their body and how it looks. And it's like I definitely would do that. And I finally honestly quit following certain pages, quit getting on social media. It's like I don't have to post about it. I'm not going to. You know what I mean? So it was like
hmm.
just learning that fine balance of like, don't let this play with your head. Like you're doing this to have fun. So you need to realize that and stop letting your prep control your whole entire mind. And it's like, you know how to do this and you're strong enough to do it or you wouldn't be here. So it's like, take control of that and don't follow those pages and don't compare like that. Cause it's like, they can look great on Instagram, but you see them in person. How do they really look? What's that angle? Do they have that filter and angle on in person? I don't think so. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Because also too, it's like lots of training and cardio, which I touched on, and then you have all your meal prep and you eat the same food. But then you get weird with food, which is
Oh, that's like a well-known thing. Like people compare their weird prep combinations.
oh
What was your
yeah.
weirdest prep combination?
I was a sweet egg person, so I did all the egg whites with all the sugar-free syrup, with the sugar-free jelly, sugar-free, sugar-free, sugar-free. Throw
Yeah.
it all in there. I was an egg white person, but also I would eat mushrooms towards the end of prep. I was just so hungry. They were disgusting, but they were semi-filling.
Mushrooms?
Yeah.
I used to love
But
mushrooms.
I know. I can't think of anything super weird I did because I'm like,
I
I
mean, okay, but sweet eggs is weird. Like tell people how you make your sweet egg little pancakes. It's
oh, you
weird.
just cook up some egg whites and put some cinnamon and stevia in them, and you can make them really thin
Oh.
into pancakes and think they're a pancake. And
Yep.
then
Roll them
you're
up.
gonna top them with more cinnamon because you don't know what else to do, and then more stevia. And then you're gonna top it with more sugar-free syrup, and then you're gonna put some sugar-free jelly. You're like, this is gold.
Oh, and
Okay.
it tasted so good because you weren't having anything sweet. Like, remember, there's no free meals at this point. It is
No.
literally just like chicken, rice, sweet potatoes, green beans,
And
ground
that's it.
turkey, maybe.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, here I am. And you learn to just
Yeah.
like drink mustard and drink hot sauce. You don't know anything else.
Yeah. Mustard and hot sauce are the only condiment. Yeah. Hmm.
It's like, oh my God. So you get a little weird. And now it's like I go to eat that food and I'm like, I use maple syrup now and honey. I'm like, I ate sugar free syrup the other day and I was like, I can't do it. It is so gross.
Too many, too many memories.
Too many chemicals and too many memories. I can just feel it
Hmm.
going
It
down.
does taste chemically, huh? I just barely grew out of sugar-free syrup because I hadn't had it for a while. And I was like, oh, this just tastes like,
Oh, you thought this was good? You ate this on
oh my
everything?
gosh.
Sweet potato. Oh, I put that stuff on sweet potatoes. Sweet potato, ground
And
turkey,
ground
sugar free
turkey.
syrup.
I
Mhm.
did that too, and it was so bomb.
I know. I want to touch back on the quick emotional part of prep because this is the part that people don't ever really show. But like, the leaner you get, the more deprived you get, the more like deeper just into prep, and the closer you get, and you're really going for it. Like this has only happened to me for national shows. Is like your emotions are so high, because there's so much riding on the line, and you get the back end pressure of everyone messaging you, be like, "You're gonna go pro, you're gonna go pro, you're gonna go pro." So you're like, "Wow!" Instead of just making myself proud, I also have these 50 DMs to make proud. I have my coach to make proud. I have this to make proud, and it's like everything hits you, and everything you do is like way more emotional when you're like, wow, I'm doing this and it's great and I look good and this is awesome, this, or it's like, wow, I'm not doing well. Like, what am I doing? What's happening? Who's not going to follow me anymore? Who's not
Mm,
going to like this? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? And also, though, too, on that part of like the emotional part, is I was a big visualizer. So, like, during cardio, that was my time that I would literally like close my eyes and I would try to just think about like, how's the spray tan feel on my skin? How does the lights feel on my skin? What do my shoes feel like? Are my feet sweaty or am I good? How's my suit fitting? Like, I try to just always visualize every aspect of prep, like not prep, but show day, and how I felt during cardio to be like, this is why you're doing it. Like, this is what you're going for. Where are you going to place? Who are you going to be? Who are you going to be against? What are you going to look like on stage? Like, visualizing all that very in depth. If you are a competitor going to the national level, you've got to take your mindset from here to honestly this whole other shift. Because guess what? There's 50 other girls doing the exact same thing you are in your high
mm,
class, ready and hungry for their pro card. Like, you've got to be on a whole new level. And
mhm.
that was something I had to really channel into after 2019. I was like, all right, I've got to figure this out. And that's what I did. And it was like,
Yeah.
everything amplified. I mean, I'm sure you agree. You took your whole prep, last prep, night and day. It was like, we're on a whole new level, mama. Whole new level.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and you also have to this is why I say that prep is a lesson in personal development because you can learn this doing a lot of different things. One thing that I'm learning, one way that I'm continuing to learn this right now is cold plunges. It's not like you want to do them. It's not like it's enjoyable. But at the moment you stop thinking about how much you don't like it, like with cardio, the food that you're eating, the lack of rest, all of
Mhm.
that, you can continue to be like, I don't want to do this. This is so hard. Da, 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 da. This goes back to love prep and it will love you back. At the end of the day, no one's got a gun to your head.
No.
Like you are choosing to do this. And one of Lauren's big things that she tells everybody is she calls it a want to do and get to do. Like, you call it get to do. She has her get to do list. She's like, when you start to feel, I've heard her say this to lots of people, and she says it to herself. When you start to feel sorry for yourself, be like, you get to do this. Prep is not only a luxury sport in the sense that you have to be healthy to do well. Like physically, your body has to function really well.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have the luxury of time because it's a time commitment. You have to have a certain luxury of finances because it is not cheap. So the fact that you would go into this, and I'm saying this to my past self as well, the fact that you would go into this and make all those commitments and not even just those commitments, but enjoy all those luxuries and then sit on the other side of it or inside of it and be like, this is so hard, I don't want to do this. It's like,
Like,
listen to yourself. You don't have to do this, you get to do this. So that can be a whole different mindset shift as well. And you will, like, your body literally responds energetically to that kind of energy. So if you want to perform better, start visualizing yourself doing well and be grateful for the process and lean in. And we actually used to say this thing too, which is kind of messed up when you think about it, but it's okay. When you get depleted enough, you like get dizzy when you stand up. And so we would just go, well, it's working. Like that's what we'd say to ourselves. It's working instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'm dizzy. Like,
I'm lean.
it's happening. This is it. Yeah. So, yeah, the mindset has a lot to do with it. And it really does. It really does help you develop a sense of mental toughness. And we're not super women. I've never once, like, people would say that to me and it would actually bug me. Like, I don't know how you do it all. And I'm like, just because I choose to. You could too.
Mhm.
There's nothing about me that is more special than you. You could do it too. I just choose to. I choose to allocate a certain amount of my finances, energy, and time to this sport. And so I do. And because I commit 100%, I do well. And you would too. You know what I mean? So there's nothing special about Lauren and I. Well, there's a lot special about Lauren and I, but I mean, there's nothing special in the sense of, like I said, there's nothing more special in us about us than is special about you. I don't know if that was great English, but I think you get what I'm saying.
I got you. I got it. One more thing on prep, I guess, with the whole get to do is like, I've said that to clients before. I'm like, you should probably stop complaining. You get to do this. Like, this is you. So,
Mhm.
one more experience thing on prep and we'll shift. The hardest thing is families, because I know a lot of young competitors feel this, is your families don't understand what you're doing, or you don't have support from them, or your friends, or what it is. And it's like, or maybe
Mm.
they pull the, oh, do you want to come out and have burgers, but you can't eat any? Or are you sure you don't want to come, or you do want to come? Like, is it going to bother you? Is this going to bother you? And it's like, as you go through preps, you're going to learn it's just a period of time. Because it used to really bother me. Like, I can't watch you eat that burger. Are you kidding me? I can't do that. Da, 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 da. When in reality, once again, it's I chose to do this and I get to do this. I would love to come and sit and hang out with you. It does not bother me. I'm there for you and the people. Like, what I'm doing and how I'm dieting right now is for a moment of time, for a show and a goal of mine. So no, you can eat in front of me. It's okay. So I found that
Mhm.
so frustrating. They're like, I won't eat in front of you, but I'll be there in like an hour. I'm like, just come over. I don't
Yeah.
care. Like, literally, I'm
Yeah.
making this choice. Like, please, like, if anything, don't like just know it's a moment of time, but it's like, don't be like that either. It's like, hang out with them. They know what they did and what they're choosing to do. So it's like, it's okay. Just enjoy the
Yeah.
time and the food. It's all right. It's a moment of time. So that was one thing that always got me used to working out, where I was like really dramatic about it. And I'm like, wait, I literally chose to do this. Yeah, come over. I don't care. Eat in front of me. Don't care. Whatever works. Does not
Yeah.
matter. That's something a lot of competitors struggle with. They're like, well, about my friends and my social life. It's like, yeah, it's going to suffer for a minute. It totally will. And
Mhm.
you will lose friends. You're going to make people angry and it's going to happen. But just know you can still have a social life to a moment. Like usually about 4 weeks out, I'm like, nix it. You need rest, like chill, relax, calm down. Knowing how to balance those. If you want to do this seriously, you have to know how to balance social life and prep, honestly.
And just lean into it. Like, just don't
Mhm.
try to force your life to look the same, your whole prep, like Lauren said. I actually will recommend to people who have significant others or children to do what I do, which is I sit down with them right before prep starts. And I'm like, okay, guys,
Mhm.
mama's going to be a little tired. And it really does like change your personality kind of a little for, like near the end because you don't have the umph of you're just tired and you're focused. And so and with all the time that you spend in the gym and on cardio and you're not going on extra walks. I mean, I sometimes would, but you're not going on extra walks. You're not able to play. You don't go out for ice cream, or you don't partake, which really something cool that comes from that to add to what you said, Lauren, about not going out with your friends. It is not the experiences that you share with people are not about what you're eating. Like once in a while, that's the case. If you go to Europe and you're trying the bread in a French bakery, then yeah, it's going to be about the food. But if you're just going out to dinner with your friends, are you really going for the food or are you going to be with people and your people and laugh and have good conversation? It's not about the drinks, it's not about the treats. Okay. So focus on and really take it as an opportunity to experience the communal exchange and moment outside of the food. It's a beautiful opportunity to really lean into that. And I felt that a lot with my family. It wasn't about going out to get ice cream. It was that we were taking time together to go on a walk and to just chat and sit by the water and eat our ice cream and talk. And ice cream is it's a fun little addition, but it's not necessary. It helped a lot with my husband too and my kids because I'm like, look, this is happening. This is probably how I'm going to be. And so then when I started getting a little grumpier, I think it helped them have a little more patience with me. And when I didn't get up and move as much, they weren't like, what's wrong with mommy? And my husband wasn't like, wow, what's going on? Especially if they've never prepped before and they don't understand it. You just have to be very, very communicative. Not like feel bad for me, but just like this is just scientifically what happens to the body. Like calories equal energy. And when I have less calories, I have less energy. It's very helpful. So don't forget to communicate with your loved ones, friends, significant others, children. They'll understand. And it will be a lot easier for you to like take time away and go do your cardio and not eat the things they're eating and have not the energy if you know that they understand what's going on.
Well, Kendra, keep telling us about just like your prep experience overall, like cardio training, food, habits. Give us just a few points here.
I mean, it's funny because it's kind of universal. Like a lot of things you said, I could totally just say, yep, same, 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 same. The only thing I would add would be like I said, like the family element. But you were running a business, so it's just time. You have to just kind of know that you're going to be sacrificing a part of your energy to
Mhm.
give. You only have, like Lauren has mentioned, you only have one energy bank account, and some of that is going to be given. A big chunk of that near the end is going to be given to your prep. So you just kind of have to like mentally prepare for that, communicate and prepare for that.
I know you've like briefly talked about the kids, but like how do you handle your emotions more with the kids like as you get closer? How do you communicate with them
Mm.
exactly? Because they are more sensitive, right? In general. So it's like, how do you say like, hey, no, like don't do that or don't snap right away? And it's like, how are you or what have you done in the past that has worked or hasn't worked? Because you've had multiple preps with them.
Yeah,
So
I
you might have
will. I actually think I get a little more chill with stuff when I'm on prep because I just
you're like
don't have the energy.
there.
It's true. I'm like, F it. I don't even care. Like, but it's not like a cool F it. It's like I feel so defeated because I don't have the energy and I'm like I'm a bad mom. Like F it. Like have the extra cookie. I don't care. No, I mean truly I don't know. I can't remember anything super specifically that I did or didn't do other than just sitting down with them and talking to them about it, but they see it. I mean, it's really as far as parenting goes, like it's a really cool thing to talk to them about. Like that this is definitely a personal experience, but share in it with people who are around you, especially those who don't really like they don't have personal experience in it. Like I would tell the children, my kids are young, okay? So my boys now are 10 and Rosie is 7 and Afton just turned 6. But I've been prepping for the last few years with them, but I would just tell them like why I do what I do. And I would pose in front of them and they were like, what are you doing? And they started posing with me. Like they thought it was super funny. And it was funny to see them do it. But we talk about muscles and I help them appreciate the body. And like, this is why I'm not eating this. And also never said I can't eat that because I definitely could. I could definitely, and I would say that. Why can't you eat this? I'm like, oh, I could. I could eat it if I wanted to. It's my choice. But I'm choosing not to right now because, and I would give them a little, science lesson and tell them about proteins and fats and carbs and how they process in the body and da da da. And then they see it too. Like they watch you and the progress, the hard work. Like they may not say it, but they notice it. And not even whether you have kids or not, like your friends. It happened with my friends too. Like lots of people will start asking you questions. They'll start to be like, wow, like not necessarily like interested in bodybuilding, but they'll want to know like how you do what you do or why you do it. It can be
Mhm.
very much an inspiring thing, but you have to reach out. You have to share in it by choice. You can't just like be a hermit. You can. You actually, let me rephrase that. You can totally be a hermit and lock yourself away. That's fine. There's no right or wrong way to prep. It's just your experience will be vastly different depending on the attitude you take into it. Choose to be a hermit, choose to be miserable. Absolutely your choice. And you might still do really well. But are you going to enjoy the process as much? I really doubt it. Yeah.
That was good.
Okay, let's end on a fun note. Let's talk about share like one of your favorite show day rituals and then something that you miss like about prep and bodybuilding.
So I guess show day ritual wise, I always find a song during prep, and whatever that song is that amps me up the most, I would listen to at the beginning of training sessions, cardio sessions, and right before stage every time. And it would just get me
I love
amped
it.
up, ready to rock and roll.
It was like your anthem for that prep.
The whole prep. Yeah, that's what I would do. And then I was always big on this probably sounds really odd, but I would like put on all my jewelry very, 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 very last minute because I didn't like wearing it, but also it just made me realize like I'm going on stage. Like it was like my activation of like, okay, it's time. This isn't really show day, but last little rituals. I'd never wear my suit until peak week. I didn't like wearing my suit until peak
Ooh.
week. I'd wear an old one and then I'd wear my new one. That's it. That's
Hmm.
all. Right there. This probably sounds really weird. I'm gonna try to explain it the best I can. That feeling when you go to bed and you wake up and you're like, I'm definitely down a few pounds. You just feel it, you look it, you see it. You're like, everything in the last 3 weeks has just clicked and there's just a drop. And you're like, dang, I look good. There's that feeling of just death. But also you're like, wow, I look phenomenal. Like everything's adding up and everything's clicking. There's just that good feeling of you're like, wow, I'm really
Mm.
tired. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. You wake up the next day and you're like, that's why I was feeling it. And I do look really good.
It's like the constant progress and like you can see it really like well, near the end you can see it very often, like every other day, sometimes throughout the day. You're like, "Oh, oh, it's
Or,
happening."
or like you could eat something and have a little more sodium. You're like, wow, good.
Look at my
Oh God.
abs.
But Kendra,
Yeah.
what about you? Hit me with a ritual. Like what was one of your show day rituals and what do you miss about prep?
One of my show day rituals, I oh gosh. I would go I actually got this idea from one of my posing coaches. I would take something with me in my suit that reminded me of why I was doing it.
Love.
Like who am I showing up for today? Because it's not these judges, it's not these other girls, it's not the audience. Like, why am I here? And so I had my sweet children I would always get like a celebratory like balloons when prep started, balloons and flowers and like little handwritten thank you or not thank you, good luck cards right before prep and then right before shows. And so I always had something from the kids to just kind of like stick in my little in my little bra. So that was fun. And I would do a power stance before I would go on stage. I really would. And I would say affirmations to myself. And another thing that I would do that honestly is universal. You could use it in so many different situations. Well, let me preface by saying I used to perform professionally music. I would sing and perform on stage. So I had some experience on stage, which really did play to my benefit for sure. But one thing that I learned about myself is sometimes I would get off stage and I would be like, why did I get so in my head? I didn't even really fully enjoy that. Like I didn't leave it all out on the stage. I kept some of it here because I was nervous and I was afraid of being looking stupid or whatever. And so I would actually picture that right before I go on stage. Like, how would I feel leaving the stage if I didn't leave it all on the stage? And it was almost like my second chance that I always wanted. I like facilitated that moment as if it had happened. I was like, this is my second chance. Like, this is my victory lap. It helped a lot with getting my head in the right spot. And just reminding myself this is fun. Like telling myself this is fun. I'm having such a good time. What's up? So those were definitely some rituals. Some rituals. I had a lot. I'm a ritualistic person for sure. So I had a lot. But that's what I'll share. And something that I miss about it, I think, is that in a different way. Like I miss having something to work towards. Like that's very like because we're all always working towards something, right? Like if you're raising your kids, it can feel very monotonous, but you're working towards helping cultivate like a happy life for these humans and help them raise them right. And when I'm showing up to work and to build my business, obviously there's a long-term goal in there that I'm working towards, but there's something different about a longer, shorter term goal that is like very measurable, like a marathon or a bodybuilding show. And I have been engaging in that kind of a thing for the last 10 years of my life. So it's really hard not to. Like I keep thinking I need something, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. It just is. It's a little bit of a compulsive thing, to be totally honest with you. But it was fun and it was like purpose filled. Like I felt so much purpose in every day. Like today is arm day. I got to
It
get
is
in
hard.
there and I got to kill my arms and my shoulders. Like every day had its own individual purpose that was leading towards a shorter term goal that was going to be very easily measured as to like how well I did and whatever. So I do miss that.
That's why I competed because of softball. I was like lost, so I totally get what you're feeling. It's hard because you're like, what do I do? What am I like striving for? What's my next push? So I get it. It's hard, but
Yeah.
you know what to do. You're doing it.
Well, and that's actually a really great lead in because our next episode is going to be like about life after bodybuilding. And we've talked really highly about it, but there were very specific and important reasons as to why we decided to leave. And we want to share that pretty openly because it's part of our story and we fully own it. And B, it might be helpful to somebody, but we didn't want to discourage you from the world at large because there is a lot of good to be found. But we do think it's important to know that there's another side to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say just as like a little taste to tell you, like one of the main reasons why I left was partially because it felt very like there was a glass ceiling. I started to see certain things happening where it felt I never engaged in believing that it was political until the end. And then I started to see some things where I was like, I don't know. It's hard to know, and that's the thing. It's hard to know if it is, and it felt like it was, and so it stopped being fun because it stopped feeling like it was a real competition. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like if I show up 100% on point, I will win or I will get the placing that I want. It was like, will I? Or does it have to do with who the head judge is? Does it have to do with who my coach is? Da, 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 you know? So that, and then also, I'm very much into like holistic health. I was at the point where I was going to have to start pushing serious steroids, and just because of my body, and or like continue pushing like performance enhancing drugs. And I was just starting to feel uncomfortable with that because I cared about winning, but I cared more about living a long and healthy life. I was like, all right, I think we're done. That was probably the most serious. There were other things that we can talk about on the next that I'll share on the next episode, but those are the things that are the most like probably least obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know
No,
unless you're in the world. What about you? What is a little teaser for our next episode as to why you left?
I would have to say overall, definitely just like the stress in the body, the holistic side of it. Like we want to have kids and I want to be able to like have just like a good long healthy life and not a lot of I don't want to say damage to my body, but like it prep's wearing. It's very, very wearing. It's a lot of work. And it's a lot on your body, a lot mentally and all that. And so like a big reason was definitely honestly like we want to have a family here in a few years. And that was a big motivator for me because it was always like, yeah, we'll try next year. Wait, one more show. Wait, one more show. And I finally was like, look,
Mm.
I don't feel like I have a purpose in the bodybuilding world either because I was very close to getting my pro card, but at the same time, I was like, meh, Like, do I need it? I've already done a lot without it. And also, didn't want to compete again. So I was like, really just there. And so I also was trying to, I think a big part of me leaving was I challenged myself to find my identity outside the world of bodybuilding.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, which is what we are going to talk about in the next episode because we know that that's a thing. A lot of people express the same thing, like finding your purpose again and then also falling in love with your body again. And also dealing with sometimes the negative effects that some people experience from bodybuilding and pushing yourself and taking performance enhancing drugs and the hormone imbalances that come with it and the weight gain and the mental health, everything that comes from being in and stepping away from bodybuilding. So we'll be back to talk about that on our next episode. So don't miss it.
don't miss it.
This is where we spill all the tea.
But no, you'll be sipping the tea. We don't spill.
Yeah, I don't think that's even a thing. It's like chuggy now to say tea. I'm so sad about that. I love that expression.
I can't even think of one. There's some in my head. I'm like, big yikes, drip, drip, this, that, something,
Big
something.
yikes. I like your drip. Yep.
I like your drip looks good, Kendra. You look so zaddy today. My God.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
you're. You're. Oh my gosh, we could do a whole episode on
I think we should.
Gen Z lingo. It's so fun. It's hilarious. But I had no idea.
We could do a whole product episode with Gen Z lingo. That'd be the easiest to do.
Oh, I'm in. That would be hilarious. Okay. Well, until
Drip.
then.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe so you can get our next episode. As soon as it's up, you'll get alerted and notified. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions about this. If you want to dig in any deeper, if you want some emotional support, help, coaching, whatever you want. Like, we are here to help. That's the only reason we're sharing all this is because we want to help. So feel free to reach out to us on our Instagram, the.bloom.podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye, guys.